Hello everyone, how's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and I'd like to present a beginner's guide to Caves of Qud. This guide is meant to kind of ease people who've either never played before or have played a little bit into the very first stage of the game so that they have a firm footing on what they're supposed to be doing, what the UI is all about, and understand exactly how to position themselves for some semblance of success before they inevitably die, like I've done many times in this game. So, Caves of Qud is a roguelike, and it can be played as a single-player RPG if you like, but I'm going to be showing you the roguelike approach to the game because that's how I play it. What that means is it is permadeath. So everything is very contingent upon you making good choices because you lose it all when you go. So let's dive into the game. Okay, and immediately you get into this screen of character creation. You can choose between classic, role-playing, wander, or daily. And these are different game modes, okay? So roleplay allows you to checkpoint, wander allows you to checkpoint more, and you don't really even get experience for killing. You're trying to just explore the world and learn the lore. But we're going to be going with classic mode here, which is the permadeath approach, and you lose your character when you die. Now, I say roguelike, and what I mean by that in the sense of this game is it is a science fiction post-apocalyptic world, and I'm not going to spoil anything about the story for you, and I still have a lot myself to learn about the story here. The lore and the story is actually one of the main selling points of this game. You create a very unique and interesting, rich experience with atmosphere created by powerful music, interesting story, throwback, almost ASCII graphics that are reminiscent of classic roguelikes, and maybe, Dwarf Fortress comes to my mind, things like that, and very satisfying and deep gameplay. Now, some roguelikes are entirely procedurally generated from top to bottom, and this game combines both fixed elements, fixed locations on the map, for example, with procedural elements. So things will be different on each playthrough. Items, some of the story, some of the dungeons and layouts will be, of course, different, but some things will remain consistent. And what I aim to do in this guide is show you, given the consistency of what is always available, what you can do to prepare for that procedural randomness. All right, so we're going to do this, and we're going to click on this. You can use your mouse or you can use the keyboard to interact with this screen. Now, if you're new to the game, I really recommend going with a preset character. So you get to pick your character from several presets, and once you get comfortable with everything, you can then just dive into like new and build every aspect of your character, starting stats, skills, mutations, whatever you want. You could even go random, or you could save a favorite build that you have and resume that. You could pick your last character. We're going to go ahead and use preset, okay? I'm going to click this. And you have two main choices for your genotype. You can either be a mutated human, so like I said, sci-fi, post-apocalyptic. So you can be a human being that has suffered some genetic mutations, and in general, these are usually pretty good. Like, they give you kind of cool abilities in combat or things that you can do, and they provide for some fun gameplay. But what's going on is you'll get mutations, and you will level up those mutations to become stronger. So, for example, if you have a shell on your back, because you have like some kind of tortoise Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle-like mutation, you can level up that shell to become stronger, to provide more armor, etc. Or you can be a truekin, all right? And a truekin is kind of like the I don't know, elite of this world and you are not mutated, you're like a pure, quote-unquote, pure human, and you use, instead of mutations, cybernetics to augment your skills and give you new abilities, okay? You have a different relationship with robots than mutated humans do, and you are more able to get skills because you get 20 bonus skill points every single level. But we're going to do a mutant for our initial playthrough because I think they're a little bit easier to understand, and I think they're also pretty powerful. Not to say that, I mean, they're both really powerful, and you know, you can hear arguments up and down for which you should start with, but we're going to do a mutated human, okay? And we're going to click on this. And then once we click here, we get to choose a different preset. By the way, if you want to play Truekin and you want to select a preset, then you're going to be fine, and you can follow along with most of what I do in the guide without any problem. And you get these different presets which are organized based on survivability, with the most survivable on the left and the more challenging on the right. So these are like kind of more magical, like you could think of these more as DPS, like glass cannon-y type of things that can die a lot more easily than the ones over here. And for your first time, I really recommend one of the classes that's over here, either the Dream Tortoise or the Marsh Tar, because they are just more hardy, right? And things can kill you really quickly in this game, and the healing it doesn't work all the time as quickly as you want it to in the game, so big armor and hit points can be helpful, but feel free to go wherever you want. I'm going to go with just Marsh Tar because it's the most survivable starting build that they list, although the Dream Tortoise is just fine. So this character gets, it's a charge-based melee fighter, which means what you do is you're going to fight in close combat with your enemies, and if they are far away from you or they have a ranged weapon or something, you can charge in quickly to close that gap and then get up in their face and smash them. You get the ability to freeze enemies, and you're highly maneuverable. Maneuverability is key in any roguelike because you want to make sure that you're able to survive, and if you can maneuver, you can survive. Okay, so we click on this, and it takes us to this screen where it tells us our build summary. Now, we're using a preset, so we don't have to set our attributes or our mutations. Those are all chosen for us. And I'm not in any way saying that these presets are the strongest builds that you can possibly do. It's just the quickest and easiest way to get into the game for your first time, so you can really enjoy this amazing game. By the way, if I haven't said it yet, and it hasn't been expressed clearly, I really think this is a fantastic game, and I enjoy it, and it's constantly under development, and it's evolving and changing. I am playing it here in the end of June of 2022, and you can expect that what you might see in the future is different from that, and that's a good thing. The developers are always working and tweaking this game, which is another reason it's fantastic. So I have a high strength with this character, which is good for melee damage, carrying things. Agility is about accuracy and dodging. Toughness is our hit points. Intelligence is for intelligence-based abilities and skills. Willpower modifies the cooldown of your activated abilities, helps you resist mental attacks, and modifies your hit point regeneration rate, which is extremely important. And ego is all about your mental ability, your mental mutations, and your ability to like haggle with shopkeepers and stuff. So we're mostly leaning on the fact that we're strong and we fight people, and so we have a high strength. We're a marauder, a mutated human, and a humanoid, and we have the ability, mutation rather, called Freezing Ray. We have multiple legs, which is kind of like Centaur, you know. We are a tar. We have 4 legs. We're amphibious with a D, and we can teleport, which is the maneuverability we were talking about. And so let's just go ahead and say this is great and go to next. And then we get to name our character, and I'm going to name us what I always name myself in this game, Dr. Incompetent. And we're going to say good, and we're going to go to next. Now, In addition to getting to choose your character, whether you're a preset or however you want to select building your character, you get to choose your starting location. We are going to be going with Joppa because it says it's recommended for new players, but I also find it to be the best place personally to start out. I've tried these other locations and they can be fun once you're much more familiar with the game, but for your first, several hours, if not, tens of hours, I think Joppa is the way to go. It provides a great arc for quests and preparation, so that you can build up to be strong enough to handle the game's content. So we're going to use Joppa as our starting location, and we select that, and we just say next. And it's going to now think and load the world. And here it goes. And once this happens, it says you embark for the Caves of Qud. You push space, and boom, you are in Joppa, and you get this kind of dialogue or context screen. It says, on the 8th of Simoon Ut, you arrive at the oasis hamlet of Joppa, along the far rim of Moghrai, the Great Salt Desert. By the way, my pronunciations are invariably incorrect. All around you, moisture farmers tend to groves of viridian water vine. There are huts wrought from rock salt and brine stock. On the horizon, Qud's jungles strangle chrome steeples and rusted archways to the earth. Further and beyond, the fabled spindle rises above the fray and pierces the cloud-ribboned sky. Okay, so this is meant to set us contextually in the world, and the main things that you need to notice here is that we are in the Great Salt Desert. We're in the desert. You begin the game, if you start in Joppa, in the desert, and in fact, water is so important that there are moisture farmers. There are people farming this plant called water vine because water is everything. You'll see it's a religion in this area, and water is actually the main currency that you use to trade with people. So water is both your lifeblood in terms of you need to drink it in the game, and you need to use it as currency to trade with people. The hint of the post-apocalyptic world is here, with the jungles kind of choking the chrome steeples and the ruined civilizations that are out beyond Joppa. And the fabled spindle is a destination we can aim for if our character gets really strong later in the game. Alright, so we're going to push space, and here we are. And this is the main screen that you will first see when you jump into Joppa. That text that went across the screen is a religious zealot proselytizing or attempting to spread the good news about whatever religion they fancy. Now, the top of the screen, let's just kind of work from the top to the bottom as we understand the UI. So here is our character icon that shows us our graphic, and you can use that to figure out where you are, which is right down here in the bottom center of the screen. There's my Marsh Tar, and here's my name. Okay. I get information about how hungry I am, and if I'm thirsty or not. I get some information about my carry capacity right here. 39 out of 349 pounds. Okay, so this is how much I can carry. I don't have very much on me. I'm very strong, so I can carry a lot. All right. I get information here about my armor value, my dodge value, and my mental armor, or my magical armor, however you want to say this. Okay, this is the date. This is the time of day. It's nighttime. Also, you're going to see that I have 18 hit points. This is the green bar. This is my health. And the bottom bar is my experience. I have 0. Okay? On the right side of the screen, you're going to see the dialogue box, or the log. And it just tells you everything that I just read. So if you accidentally skipped out of that context window, the information is over here. Now this information, the log, will jump from side to side of the screen depending on where you are, and it will try to like put itself in the least obstructive place it can. On the bottom of the screen, you'll see that I have abilities, which are to butcher corpses so that I can potentially eat them or get their materials. Here's my charge ability. I can dismember. It's always a nice thing to do. I have my freezing ray mutation. I can make a camp, and I can sprint if I want to run away from things. I also can teleport. Now, you can click down here to do things if you want, or you can push the A key to open up your abilities screen and see these things. Okay, now let's look at the game screen itself. Like I said, I'm down here. This gold character here that you see is a farmer, a water vine farmer that has a quest for us. This character over here, standing next to the treasure chest, is a merchant. These are random. These white farmers are just random farmer guys. This person here in the robe is a religious zealot who wants to talk to us about religion. Here is a member of the city guard, and here is a purple cat. Now, you might say, well, I want more information than that. Well, let me tell you how to get that. If you push the L key, it switches to the look mode, and then you can use the arrow keys to move around, and you will get information about wherever the blinking cursor is. So if I'm on myself, it just says, hey, Dr. Incompetent, it's you. My physical features are that I have icy vapor, that's my mutation, is producing that. I'm equipped with furs, I have a lit torch so I can see, it's nighttime like I said, and I'm using a bronze battle axe as my weapon. Now we'll look at my inventory and my equipment screen separately, but that's just the overview when I'm looking. If I move this around, hey, here's a torch, which even if I weren't holding a torch, this town is a settlement, so it's lit at night so I can get around without holding a torch. This farmer that I talked about, his name is Mehmet, and when you look, you will see a screen that opens up that gives you information contextually, just some kind of flavor about this person in the top portion, and then it says he's loved by the villagers of Joppa and hated by grazing hedonists for insulting their oligarchies. Me too, my friend. I've done that as well. Those lower bits of information are representing this person's affinity with different factions in the game. So you have a huge amount of factions you can interact with, and your actions in the game will either make you loved or hated by different groups, and your standing becomes important depending on what path you take. But in the beginning of the game, I wouldn't worry too profoundly about that, except I would try to stay in good standing with the people of the town. Otherwise, they won't let you, trade with them. They'll attack you when you come into the town, and then you lose a settlement you can go to, and that's a shame. So try to be nice to these people. Don't kill them. Don't steal from them openly, and you'll remain in good standing with them. Now, it also tells you can see what this person is equipped with. This is very helpful for you if you're like out on the overworld and you can't really understand what something is, if it's going to attack you, if it's a nice person, what are we dealing with? You use the look screen. The game is paused while you are doing this. Just like every roguelike of this classic ilk, it is a turn-based RPG, so nothing happens until you act. So you can do as much as you want right here in this look screen without passing any time, and take your time to make your best decision. Now, when you are looking at this, you can see that this person has a woven tunic, steel, vine reaper, which is their farming implement, and sandals. So that tells you like what their gear is, so you can get an assessment of how strong this foe is. Additionally, in the lower left where it says perfect in all white, that tells you his or her health. So their health is reflected by that word and also the color of it. As they get more injured, the adjective to describe their health will reflect the state of their injury and will also change color, moving from white into red and darker red for like really, really hurt. Impossible, okay, moving to the right at the bottom of this context window, tells you an estimation that the game is having of your ability to defeat this foe. What's the challenge or threat level of this foe? So this is an impossible threat for my character. If I were to attack Mehmet, he would kill me. Okay? At least that's what the game is saying, because they are impossible. So you're looking for things that are like average, which means about your level, or even easier to fight if you're looking to fight. Don't fight in Joppa unless you're looking to die immediately, okay? And then, comma, space, it says the word neutral. That describes their posture towards you. So that means, like, he's not going to fight me. He's not a friend, but he's not a foe. So I don't have to worry about this person as a threat. If you improve your reputation to the villagers of Joppa, their alignment towards you, their posture towards you might become more positive. So you might move up so that they're friendly, or they're allies, or they just like you better, and that's great. If you do things that these people don't like, expect to see that go down, and if it says hostile, that means that they will openly attack you if they get close enough or they have a ranged attack. So watch out for things that are hostile, all right? So that's how you interpret that screen. And if I move over here, for example, you'll see that this is the Zealot of the 6-Day Stilt. The 6-Day Stilt is a very large settlement further northwest in the desert from this town that has all kinds of great shops to go to. It has bigger quests, but we don't want to go there yet. We're not ready for that journey. With an early character, we're going to do some quests that build us up to going to the 6-Day Stilt, but right now we don't need to go there. Now you'll see that this person is average in terms of the threat assessment or the challenge level of this character, so that means that we could take them down if we want to. All right, I will tell you that many players of the game recommend killing this Zealot because the people in the town will not be upset by this person's murder because they don't really feel strongly one way or another about them. In fact, some of the townspeople hate this Zealot and will kill them on their own if you just let them wander around. The benefit of killing them would be that they have a holy scripture that you can sell for some money if you're interested. Now, that is entirely up to you. I will leave it to you. I myself do not kill this Zealot because I just don't feel comfortable murdering people in cold blood for holy books, but at the same time, you could say that I'm wasting an opportunity by not getting their book and selling it, and that their religion is, some kind of evil, and I should, take a stance politically and, theologically against what they're doing, and I don't really have that stance. I'm not too strong one way or the other. So that is up to you. It says that he preaches the chromaic gospel of the mechanimists. Precious saliva flies from his crackled lips, but he's too wrapped in the music of his words to notice. So some people worship or love the machines. Other people hate the machines. And you will see that there are functioning robots and machines of some previous civilization, perhaps, floating around out there, and we're going to explore those ruins later, and you will get to make up your own mind on whether or not you are down with it or not. But for now, that is that character. I recommend the first thing you want to do is walk around, and you can use the arrow keys as a numpad to walk around. So you can just walk around like this, and you will see that cat's moving, time is moving as I take a step, but there's no hostile entities within Joppa. You are safe on this screen to do what you want. I will tell you that if you push 0 on the numpad, that is the key for auto explore. And so if I push this, my character will start walking around, as you can see, and just kind of go around and trying to uncover as much of the map as they can, all right? And that is useful for just getting everything done on the map. But let me talk to you about some other functions. Before we drill into the character, before we look at our inventory, I just want to talk to you about some navigation tips, okay? One thing that's extremely useful in this game is to hold down the Alt key. When you hold the Alt key, you will see that much of the map disappears. And all that are visible are things that you can... some things that you can interact with. You can interact with doors and they become invisible, but this lets you see all of the creatures on the map, all of the treasure chests, all of the signs, all of the loot you can pick up. And it's color-coded. Green on these humanoids or these creatures, cats, whatever they are, that means they're neutral or friendly. They're not going to fight us. They are not a threat. That's good. If you see a creature pop up as red on this screen, that means it's hostile, and you should watch out for it. Because of the presentation with these throwback, almost ASCII-like graphics in a very, very retro tile set, it can be hard, especially for new players, to distinguish what's even on the screen. And so I recommend using the Alt key to just make sense of what's going on, and you use that in tandem with the look function so that you can get more information. Hey, it's Ctesiphus, the phosphorescent docile cat, and there's a whole bunch of information about this cat if you're interested. All right, so that can help you discern what's going on in the game. So you use the look function and the Alt key to help get around. One last piece of navigation advice I want to give you before we get into looking at our character is using the backspace key. So if you push the backspace key, it opens up this screen which says go to which point of interest. This is invaluable, at least to me, who is a person who's forgetful. What this does is it uncovers and tells you the location of NPCs that you have either seen or met before within a town, or a statue or something that's important that you want to go to. So, for example, if I have a quest and I need to go talk to somebody, and I can't even remember who that is or where they are, which is all the time, as I am scatterbrained, you can use this key to be like, oh man, where's Mehmet again, the quest guy? And then you can just select it. Okay? It tells you can push that letter that's in square brackets, the lowercase letter, to select them, or you can use your mouse to interact with the screen or the arrow keys to move around the selection. Next to their name, in capital letters in square brackets, is a direction, like Mehmet is to the east of me, the Zealot is to the northeast of me, and so on. If I want to go to Mehmet, I can just click on it, and it will auto-move me, path me to that character. So that is a very, very useful thing when you are trying to go talk to people, or, let's say I push backspace and I'm like, oh, I want to go talk to Tam, who's the merchant. I want to buy stuff. All right, I just select this, and then I will walk around, and my character will path over to that. Now, you'll notice that as my character did that, I stepped in this water right here, this pool of 500 drams of salty water. And when I did that, I am now leaving a trail of liquid behind me, and my character is wet. So you'll see that the text for my name has changed, and there is an adjective to describe my character, which is that I'm wet. I walk through the water. All right? You'll be very used to this in Caves of Qud, but they love to put fluids all over you, blood, slime, ooze, water, and you will get all sorts of different modifiers and adjectives associated with your character as you get covered with gunk on your adventures, and it just becomes a kind of fun minigame to see how many things you can get dirty with. But that's all that's going on, is that I am trailing water behind me. And this is not necessarily a bad thing, but it becomes important because there are different interactions between elements and things that can be on the ground, in the environment, on you. And when that time comes, just pay attention to your status. Okay, so that's a good bit of information about moving around and getting around. Let's go back here, and before I go talk to my good buddy Mehmet, who is the first person I recommend you talk to in Joppa, I'm going to show you some of the character information screens so we can get through understanding how to look at our inventory, how to equip ourselves, get more information on our skills, and find our journal, the map, our quest, all kinds of very, very useful information. This is a slow beginner's guide as I really go through all of this information, and it's a lot. This game is a lot to take in, but I think once you get past the initial hurdle of some of this learning curve, you'll really, really, enjoy it. And it's really, in my opinion, pretty intuitive for the most part, especially if you have any experience playing old-school RPGs or roguelikes. The next thing I want to talk about is the character screen, and this opens up a whole subset of windows that are all helpful for understanding where you're at, what's going on, what your capabilities are, and what you're carrying. So you push X, and you bring up your character sheet, and it looks like this. It tells you can just push number 5 or escape to get out of the screen whenever you want. I always just use escape. And then it tells you what your stats are, okay, right here, and what the modifier is. So the modifier in parentheses next to your stat is telling you how much of a bonus or a minus you get based on what your stat level is. Very similar to Dungeons and Dragons. And so, for example, my strength is 22, and that gives me a +3. Now, you can go into this to raise your attribute if you have an attribute point to spend, and you get those generally when you level up at different level points. So I have none. I'm level 1, so nothing's happening there, but this is where my stats are. You can see that this screen also displays my resistances to acid, electricity, heat, and cold. Any active effects that are on me. This is great if you have some kind of buff or debuff and you're not sure what's going on. You can always click on this. And if you see the yellow letter or key, that's just telling you can push E, for example, to open up your active effects, or you can just move the arrow key to change the position of this caret and push enter. I have 0 skill points to spend, 0 attribute points, and 0 mutation points, okay? And then over here, you can see my mutations: Freezing Ray, Multiple Legs, Amphibious, and Teleportation. Now, what I want to show you that's super useful on when you get here is if you push enter on Freezing Ray or any of your mutations, you get more information. This is the best place to go to understand what your capabilities are and what your abilities do. So Freezing Ray says, for example, you emit a ray of frost from your hands. Pretty cool, huh? Emits a 9-square ray of frost in the direction of your choice. Okay, so the range is 9 squares, and you get to point it and target something. It does 1 dice 3 plus 1 damage. Very D&D with the damage. And the cooldown is 20 rounds before you can use this ability again. As a bonus, melee attacks cool opponents by minus 1 dice 4 degrees. Additionally, Freezing Ray is something that is a mutation. You get to kind of, when you're creating your character from scratch, you can pick which limb of your body is emitting the freezing vapor, and for us it's one of our hands. And if you are using a weapon in that hand that is emitting the freezing vapor, then even your melee attacks will force the temperature cooling effect. Okay? It also tells you below this that if I were to level up this mutation, you can see that the damage goes up to 2 dice 3 plus 1, and the cooling goes down by minus 2 dice 4. So it gets much stronger when you level it up. And as you level as a mutant, you will get mutation points that you can spend to either level up the existing mutations you have, or, as it says at the bottom of the screen, you can spend 4 mutation points to try to get a random new mutation for your character. I mean, you don't try, you will get one, but you don't get to pick which one. Multiple Legs is fantastic. It's what makes us a tar. So we have like 4 legs right now, basically, and we're getting plus 20 move speed, which makes us move along really fast. So if we need to run away from enemies that are threatening, we can. And we get a little bit of a carry capacity bonus. You can see that this, the move speed bonus doubles at the next rank and gives us more carry capacity. Amphibious says, your skin must be kept moist with fresh water. You pour water on yourself rather than drinking it to quench your thirst. You require about 2/3 more water than usual, and we get a bonus rep with frogs. So this is a negative mutation, I suppose. When you're creating your character, you can take bonus mutations, and they cost points. But you can also give yourself detrimental mutations, which give you more points to spend on your character. So this is a kind of drawback. So we have to drink water by pouring it on ourselves. So that's just a virtue of our amphibious nature. However, you see that we do get 100 rep with frogs because, you know, we're part amphibious. So it takes us more water to do things, which is important, especially if we're traveling to, like, say, for example, the 6-day stilt. We're going across the desert. We're going to need to pack more water. And we have teleportation, which says you teleport to a nearby location. So at this rank, we teleport to a random location within a designated area, and the uncertainty radius is 12, and the cooldown is 100 rounds. So this is like your attempt to get out of jail free. If you're stuck up in melee with something, or you just need to run and you want to get some extra distance, you use this. It's not something that's super precise, and the cooldown is massive, so you can only use this very sparingly, but it's a great escape technique. You can see that if we level this up, the uncertainty radius will actually shrink this with this ability. Now, from this screen, we've looked at our mutations, we've looked at our stats, we see our resistances, we understand how to look at active effects. We can then move to the left or to the right on this screen to see more about our character. I'm going to go to the right by pushing the 9 key on the numpad to go to our inventory. And you'll see that we go to a screen that shows what we're carrying. We have, and it compartmentalizes these items into categories. So we have bear jerky as the food that we eat, and this is a true roguelike in the survivability sense of you need to eat and you need to drink. So there is a concern for light source, there's a concern for food, there's a concern for hydration as well. So just keep those things in mind. We have torches that we start with that we can use as a light source. We have some medicine, which is witchwood bark. And again, you can push enter on any of these things to bring up this screen. And if you want to know more about it, you just go down to the look screen right here where it says look. And it will tell you that these are lichen sticks in the winding groves of woodshed, shimmering and smelling of spice, and it heals and confuses you when eaten. So these will heal you, but it's kind of like a drug, and you get confused, which is a negative status effect. It makes you kind of wander around, maybe not do what you want to do for a moment, but it does heal you. So it's like an emergency heal thing. I wouldn't recommend it unless things are going poorly for you, but you can use it. And you can also interact from this screen by selecting eat. You can drop them, you can equip them, you can mark them as important, you can add personal notes if you want to just like remember something about an item for yourself, and you can show the effects, and there's no active effects on it, for example. Also, here's my water. I'm carrying 32 drams of fresh water, and water is your lifeblood and your currency, and it's heavy. So 9 pounds of my equipment is just coming from water. So you want to have a lot of water, but you also have a limitation to how much water you can carry because it's heavy. So bear that in mind. I have 3 water skins that I start with, one of which is full, and these other 2 water skins I could fill if I find fresh water or if I trade a merchant for items and they have to give me water of their own as currency. It will go into these containers. More containers means you can carry more water. I'm going to push 9 again to move right on this panel of screens to go to my equipment. And this is what I'm wearing. I am currently equipped with furs I have a lit torch in my right hand. In my left hand, and the asterisk means that's my primary limb, is a bronze battle axe. And worn on hands is my icy vapor, which is my mutation, right? So when I hit people with this axe, I am cooling them down with my vapor. But that's all I have equipped. Now, let me look at the bronze battle axe first so you can understand this. If I look at it, you can see more information about my weapon. Strength cap bonus is 1. So that means that even though I'm +3 on my strength modifier, I'm only getting 1 of that for this weapon. The arrow with the number 5 next to it, where it says bronze battle axe at the top of this panel, indicates my accuracy, and the heart with the number beside it tells you how much damage and the type of damage that it's going to do. So this is going to do like physical damage of 1 dice 2. All right? So not very damaging. And it tells you another piece of important information, which is the weapon class. So this is an axe weapon, obviously, but that means that if I want to get good with axes, I need to develop the skill of axes to get better using any axe-type weapon. Okay? Now, for the furs, let's look at these. It tells you that there is a diamond with a number 2, and there is a circle with a -1. Okay? These are reflecting the different kinds of armor we get from this piece of equipment. The diamond symbol to the left, next to the word furs with a number 2 by it, means that this is giving me an armor value of 2. And the circle with the -1 next to it means it's giving me a dodge value of -1. So basically, this provides good armor. Your armor value mitigates incoming physical damage. And at the exchange of, it makes it harder for me to dodge if I'm wearing this armor because it encumbers me. So I can't dodge attacks, which would just make me take 0 damage from the attack if I dodge it completely, but I mitigate. So it's armor and dodge value, and that's what the furs give me. If I go over again to the factions, this is where what I was talking about earlier. You can see your reputation with all the different factions in the game here, and this is quite a long list as you go down. It's alphabetical order, and it tells you who you have rep with. Red means really bad. Green means good. Blue means neutral, not too bad. And you can know what benefits you get, who this applies to. And this is a nice reference for your relationships with other species or types or groups. I'm going to go over again by pushing 9 to the right to our quest panel. We currently have no quests. I'm going to go to the right again to our journal, and this is where you keep track of locations that you find out about through talking to people, books, statues, inscriptions on items, and whatnot. Whenever you find out about some gossip or lore or a Sultan history, it will be listed here, and you can use this to kind of refer back to it and go to that place. Tinkering is something that is a skill set for messing with electronics or spare parts and things that you find around to make gadgets for yourself, but this character is not really an intelligent build. This is more of a, melee bruiser kind of type, so we're not going to be doing really tinkering here. And now I have moved back around to my skills panel, and if I go right one more time, I get back to the character sheet. So we've almost completed moving left and right through these different panels of information. Now, this is the skills and powers screen. We start with the axe skill, okay? And you can tell because it is the name of the skill that we start with is in gold, and there is no cost to purchase this skill listed next to it. So, for example, cooking and gathering, we can't get this because we don't have 100 skill points to spend on it. Or tactics, we cannot purchase because we don't have 150 skill points to spend on it, all right? But we do have axe proficiency, and so because we're skilled with axes, we get this proficiency, which says we get +2 to hit with axes. Now, we also, as we saw on our abilities screen, have the ability to dismember. This is the screen you want to come to if you want to know more information about the abilities that you have. So, that are not mutation-based, right? So it's like if you have abilities that are not given to you by an item or are not mutation-based, the skills and power screen is where you want to get further information. So Dismember is an activated effect with a cooldown of 30 turns, and if we hit and we penetrate their armor, meaning we do damage to them, we get through their armor value, we dismember one of their limbs at random and they start bleeding for 1 to 2 damage a turn, but they get to make a toughness save against that bleeding of difficulty 35. Additionally, your axe attacks that penetrate have a percentage chance to dismember, 3% for one-handed axes and 6% for two-handed axes, okay? So, we just are trying to chop off their limbs, and we can intentionally do that with an activated ability called Dismember, but we also get a passive chance to do that from this ability. Now, if we want more axe attacks, when we level up and get more skill points, we could come here and purchase Cleave, for example, or Hook and Drag, providing we have the stats to do so. So Cleave requires a 19 strength. That's why 19 strength is next to it. And if it's in green, if the writing of this is in green, that means you can get it. You can do it. 150 is in red because we don't have 150 points. We can't buy that. So it's telling us we can't get that. But we do meet the strength requirement, so we can get this ability when we have the skill points. Now, Charging Strike, okay, is not an option for us right now to even buy, because we don't have Cleave. So you'll see next to Charging Strike, it says you need a 19 strength, which we do have, but Cleave is written in red, meaning Cleave is a prerequisite for Charging Strike, and we need to be able to charge, which we can do. So we can charge, and we have axe proficiency, and we have Dismember, but we can't get this yet. So it's completely grayed out. It's not even an option until we get the prerequisite skill. We do, however, have Butchery. So we don't have Cooking and Gathering, but the game has started us with Butchery, which means we can butcher fresh ingredients and other usable parts from animal corpses. And you can set this to automatically do it whenever you walk over a corpse in the field. Now, we don't have the Tactics skill category, but we do have Charge. So with some of the pre-builds or whatever, you can get some of the skills that are within a category, but if you want to buy further skills in this category, you're going to need to get the overall Tactics category unlocked. Charge says you charge forward 2 or 3 squares and perform a melee attack at +1 penetration. So we get to move forward really quickly at a time cost of 0 or a turn cost of 0, and hit them and get a penetration bonus. And we can make a camp, which allows us to start a campfire to cook meals and preserve foods. This is really important when you're in the field and you get hungry. If you can make a camp, you can just scrounge ingredients from nearby and fill yourself up. You won't get any bonuses unless you're good at cooking, or find you have good ingredients to cook with, but you can at least remedy your satiety. And then these are other skills that you can get later if you want to plan out for these. And the plus sign next to it means you can simply unpack this category if you want to. And you do that by either pushing the 6 key to expand or the 4 key to collapse these categories. Okay? All right. So that's all of these screens. And now we have the navigation information. We can look around the world and we can look at ourselves. And with that knowledge, I think we're ready to actually do some playing of the game. So let's go talk to our buddy, Mehmet. Now, remember, his name is Mehmet. And when you get next to things, you can push the space key to interact. So I'm going to push space, and now I'm talking to Mehmet. And he says, "Live and drink, friend. May you find shade in Joppa." Thank you so much. What a nice guy. And you can talk to Mehmet to get contextual information, lore about the town. You can ask him for work, and this will give you a quest. You can also perform the water ritual with Mehmet. And you can trade with him if he has anything to buy or sell. I'm going to tell you, if you do the water ritual, this is totally up to you, okay? It's a good thing if you want to be friends with people in Joppa, but just know, most of the time in this game, when you get faction with one group, you will lose faction with whomever they're enemies with. So you need to be careful to not willy-nilly always just do water ritual when you meet people, because you might make friends with one group and then ostracize yourself from another group. So this is something you learn through experience, and there's nothing wrong with being friends with people in Joppa, so you can go ahead and do this. Now the benefit, or one of the benefits of getting good faction with a group, is that there will be people, if you can speak with this group, that you can exchange faction points for, kind of like as a currency, to get some benefit. They might train you in a skill, they might give you food, they might give you a recipe for how to cook something. So there are definite benefits for acquiring faction with a group. Now we're going to get faction with Joppa because we're going to do quests with them and they're going to be grateful. So I'm going to say I'm in search for work. And he says that some critters are eating our water vine. Farouk claims he saw one slinking around a vine patch. Ugly little things, he says. Pale white, 8 legs, an ear-splitting whine. I noticed a bit of red dirt in the water vine pool, the same we find in the soil at a nearby cave to the north we call Red Rock. So that title in red there, that is a location on the map that we can go to, okay? Travel to Red Rock and kill as many of these critters as you can. Bring back the corpse of one, too. Elder Irudad will reward your efforts, and Elder Irudad is a person we can interact with, and they color code the keywords in these conversations. And you can either turn it down, you can say, I'll perform no such peasant's task, or you could say, I will do as you ask. And we're going to do that. This is a great starter quest to do. It will help introduce you to combat, exploration, and gives you good rewards. So let's take it. So we have received a new quest called What's Eating the Water Vine. We push space, and if we push the Q key, we can open up our quest screen, and you'll see that we now have a quest in this screen that was empty when we just looked at it. It says we need to travel to Red Rock, we need to find the critters, we need to get a corpse of a critter, and we need to return to Joppa with that corpse as evidence of what's going on with the water vine. So these are like all bullet points, and they will start to update dynamically as you accomplish these goals, all right? Again, you can get to this screen by pushing Q, or you can just open up your character screen and move around here just like we did before. Now I've got a quest, and I'm going to go get another quest. These are all things you should do in Joppa when you're starting out for the first time, okay? I'll show you another quest. Let's go over here to the west, and we're just going to venture down here. There's a pool of water. Now, I'm going to look at this, and this is a wet glowfish. It's docile. It's neutral, okay? I'm going to tell you one thing really fast about Caves of Qud. It's not always the case here, but watch this. I pushed spacebar to interact. It asked for what direction. I pushed down, and look at this. You can talk to the glowfish. In towns, especially settlements, there are plants, there are animals that are sentient that you can speak with. So really, really experiment with what you can talk to and kind of unlearn the idea that it's only humans. Don't be anthropocentric, you know. You can talk to sentient plants, you can talk to sentient animals, and they can be the village elder or the chief or somebody who has a quest or can trade. So just be mindful of that. This is Caves of Qud. It's a trip, everybody. All right, now I'm standing next to a sign. You can look at the sign to read it, and it says go away, or you can push space, and oh no, you can't interact with it that way. There's nothing to take. You'd have to look at it. Okay, it says go away, and the reason it says go away is because of this guy right here, Argive. So Argive is like a cantankerous old devil who is going to give us a quest and is tough to work with but generous with the rewards. And this is the guy who's feisty enough to kill the religious zealot. If the zealot who's positioned over, we saw him earlier, wanders over into Argive's line of sight, Argive will just run out and kill him. If that happens in your game, then just go pick up the religious text that the zealot was carrying, and you've got some money for yourself without having to get your hands dirty, if you're okay with looting the dead. So that's just something that happens with this guy. But the main thing is you want to just push space and talk to him, and he's mumbling tensile strength of Reblon, but lacking in dino elasticity, retro threading the M-band would probably... Oh, I didn't notice you there. That's because I was ignoring you. Mumbling, noting a trace yield of synthetic linseed solvent. So he's like this tinkerer who salvages bits and is looking to understand the world, develop technologies, and do, you know, his own inscrutable purposes. But if you just stick it out with this guy, he'll give you a quest. So we're going to choose option number 1, which is the ellipses, and just wait. Unexpected deviation from the clank constant clears throat loudly. And if you get past his gruff demeanor, he goes on to say, "Must you disturb me? What are you, some sort of treasure hunter?" I am. At the very least, make yourself useful and bring me a knick-knack from one of the caves. Notice that word is in blue. It's a keyword. I may reward you. Where can I find such a cave? There are caves everywhere, you dolt. This is Qud. Try the rust wells just east of here. I will return with your knick-knack. Accept the quest. So now we have 2 quests, and if I go to my quest screen, you'll see I've got what's eating the water vine, and now I have fetch Argive a knick-knack. Now, I will show you, but a knick-knack is going to be any unidentified artifact that you find. You don't actually have to go there to get them. You can do that beforehand to get some early experience, and I'll show you how to do that. But you will eventually end up wanting to go to the Rust Wells for a later quest of his. Now, I'm going to keep walking around, and I'm going to go up here and meet another NPC, and this is Elder Iridad, the village elder, okay? And you can talk to Elder Iridad to get more information, and he'll give you all kinds of cool story about the game. I'm not going to get into that here. I'm just going to teach you the basics of how to play, but this guy has a great conversation line, and then you need to bring him back the corpse of what you find in Red Rock to complete the quest. You can do the water ritual with him if you wish, or you can trade with him, and he does have some witch bark that he will trade with you. Oh, no, he has vine wafer, sorry. And he has some bandages and things. He also has some books. Now, this is the trade screen. I selected trade. Let me just explain this to you really quickly. On the left, you can see what Elder Iridad has to trade, and on the right, you can see what I have to trade him. All prices that have $signs on them, that means how much water or how many drams of water it's going to cost us. At the bottom, we can see that Elder Iridad has 0 drams of water up to trade right now, or the value of what we want is 0. But if I selected this book, then that value, it says 0 drams at the bottom, would change from 0 to 165.714. I mean, we are going into thousandths of a decimal place on these values. Amazing. I'm just going to push enter again to deselect spring, a letter arrived. And I'm going to show you on our screen on the right. It tells you the kind of value of the items that we have, and it says that we have in gold 32 drams of water to trade. We're not going to do any trading, but you can get Vine Whipper if you want. And I'm not going to. I'm just going to go back out of this screen and escape again. But important, remember the Alt key, hold down Alt, and you'll see that there's this brown cooking stove up here in the upper left. If I look at this, it says it's a clay oven, and it comes with the smell of hot star apple jam and toasted mats. And if you push space and to open up the interaction and you select north of you, you can actually, for free, eat a fresh apple mats from this clay oven. And if you do eat the meal, it will give you this effect. It says you start to metabolize the meal, gaining the following effect for the rest of the day. You get 12% bonus to your natural healing rate, and you thirst at half rate. This is fantastic. Get this every time that you're in Joppa. Just have some fresh apple mats. You can also cook at this stove like a campfire if you would like. Now, we have 2 quests from this town. There's another few things I want to show you to do in Joppa before you set out. I want you to walk over here to the northeast to this statue. Push space and interact with this shrine to Reshef, the last Sultan, and look at it. And it tells you some information about this statue, and then when you push space, you'll see that you note this piece of information in the Sultan Histories section of your journal. This is important later if you get to the 6-day stilt. There is a person who will give you experience for interacting with these statues and having pieces of history to tell him about. Okay, so now we've done that. The final thing I want to show you before we get unscrupulous is this is the trader. So this is Tam. You can talk to him, get information from him, or you can trade with him. Tam has a ton of items. They're randomly generated, what Tam starts with, so you don't know what Tam's going to have, but he's got ammo. If you're a shooter, he's got armor, he's got artifacts to trade for, which you don't know necessarily what they are. If you don't know what something is, it will just give you vague adjectives to describe it, like weird artifact, strange tubes, things like that. He's got melee weapons, missile weapons, and the water containers. All good things that you can trade for, but right now we really don't have that much. So I'm just going to push escape and get out of this. Now, the final thing I want to show you before you set out, if you're interested, you don't have to do this, but I recommend it, is to look for any room. These are homes of people in the town in Joppa. Go into a room, and if it has a treasure chest, you've found the right place. Stand next to the door, push the spacebar key to close the door. You must close the door of this house so that no one can see you, and once no one can see you, you can go next to this treasure chest and push the spacebar key, push up to interact with it, and it says that's not owned by you. Are you sure you want to open it? And if you push yes, you can steal everything that's inside here. Now again, this is a moral thing, like you can do this, yes or no. If no one can see you, you are losing nothing in the game, no reputation, no faction, nothing will happen to you as a result of this. You'll just know it's on your conscience. I do this. I take these things so I can sell them or use them to give myself a little bit of an advantage before I set out with a new character. So I'm going to just actually push tab to take everything. We're getting 2 free water skins, a torch, a vine wafer to eat, and some unidentified artifacts. And watch this. When I push tab, those unidentified artifacts, it tells you, satisfy the requirements for the quest, fetch, archive, a knick-knack. Okay? So he wants those things. So you can turn those over to him and get the experience for completing that quest. Okay? Now, before I do that, though, I'm going to push I to go in my inventory, and I'm going to just select the weird artifact by pushing enter, and I'm going to say examine, the bottom option on this drop-down. And you make some progress understanding the poison gas grenade Mark 1. So that weird artifact, by looking at it, you could kind of figure out what it is, and it's actually a poison gas grenade. So now that I know what this is, it is no longer something that is not identified. It goes into my grenade category. I can look at it, and I can see what it would do, and I can equip this if I want to use this as my grenade. You can have 1 grenade equipped, and I could equip this and throw it at enemies if I wanted to. Okay, so that's an option. I'm going to also look at this item, this small cobalt tube that we have here. Let me examine this. And it's a salve injector. Okay, so we have discovered a salve injector. Now, this is a tonic, and this is a healing item. If I go to look at this, you'll see that it heals you 0.6 hit points per level, minimum 3 each round, okay? So here's the deal. This item heals you, but this is how much of the healing works in this game. It is over time. So you need to know very quickly that you're in danger so you can use this item fast enough for it to be of benefit to you. Because if you're at 1 hit point and you try to use this, chances are you're not going to live long enough for the regeneration to kick in. But this is a great item for us to have discovered. So if you don't want to give these to Argive because you either want to sell these or keep these, don't. You can wait until you get an artifact that is worthless to you. Now that I've taken everything, I can freely come and go from that room. Okay? And here's another chest. I'm just going to push space and close the door. I'm going to push space. I'm going to open this chest. And I'm going to take everything out of here. There's arrows. There's overalls. There's a club. There's a rifle, which is terrific. There's copper nuggets, which are trade goods. These are actually items that sell really well, and they don't weigh very much. Some items in this game are better used as currency than water because they have a high value, but they have less weight. So you can see that these copper nuggets, for example, the weight is displayed with the hashtag symbols for pounds over in the right, 2 pounds. Whereas this water skin that's filled with 30 grams of fresh water, conveniently, is 8 pounds. So the nuggets will probably be more valuable than that and lighter. So I'm going to just take everything, and I'm going to leave. And I'm going to go into another room and just look for some chests. Here's a chest. I'm going to close this door, and I'm going to open this chest, and we're going to take the mace, the nuggets, the arrows, everything. We're going to go out, and we're just going to kind of explore around the rest of the town and see if there's any other chests for us to pilfer, okay? So you're going to need to go in every room. Now, remember, if you want to take from a chest, you can only take from a chest where no one can see you. So don't take from this chest in here because the Elder will see you. Or don't take from this chest down here because Argive will see you and he'll start attacking you and you'll lose faction in this town and it's a disaster. So don't do that. Now, at this point, you can go back to Argive and you can give him an artifact. And you have 2 choices. You can give him the salve injector or you can give him the grenade. I'm not giving my healing item because that's precious to me. I will give him this grenade and watch what happens. You get 75 experience just for doing that and you complete the quest and he then gives you a follow-up quest to get another artifact and you can do that. And you can complete that quest as well by giving him this salve injector that you found, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go find some more artifacts in Red Rock. So now that you have started out, the next step would be to go through all these items that you found, decide what you want to keep, and if you don't like anything, you don't want it, then sell it to Tam and trade for some things that you feel that you do want. You don't have to, though. You can. I would hold on to your copper nuggets. If he gets anything fantastic, you could keep this rifle, but know that you would need to buy bullets from Tam to use it. So now that you're set, you can make the choices on what you want to trade, what you want to keep. In the upper screen, you see that I'm carrying 89 pounds out of the 349 that I can carry. So I'm actually not really going to even sell anything at this point. I'm okay with what I've got. And I'm ready to go to Red Rock. And when you're ready to go, all you have to do is hold shift and push the left caret key to kind of go up the steps. That's what roguelike slang for going up the steps. And that will zoom out onto the world map. And now you can see that we are on the world map. This is the Dwarf Fortress reference that I was making. It looks very much like that. And I am right down here. You can use the L key to look around the world map just like you do to the dialed-in map. If you want to get back to Joppa, all you have to do is hold shift and push the right caret and just say current location, and boom, I'm back here. Okay, so this is the zoomed in map, and I pushed that to go shift left caret to go back to the world map. 2 tiles up is Red Rock. It's this kind of red mountain looking structure, and that's where I want to go for my quest. If I simply step up and up again, I'm on Red Rock, then I just go shift right caret and I get into the screen that has Red Rock. You'll see that I get 50 experience just for making it this far, and now I am ready to start exploring and completing this quest and getting into combat and finding treasure and doing all the fun RPG exploration stuff. But I think this is a great place to end this first episode of the Beginner's Guide. I might do more if you guys want to see it, but this is just getting you started for the very first quest in the game. From here, Hopefully you know enough about reading all of the screens to get yourself positioned well. And in the next episode, we'll get into combat, how to use your abilities, how to make camps, how to explore the wilderness, and what that's all about. Thank you everyone so much for watching. If you have any questions that you'd like to know more about, please put those in the comments below, and I'd love to help you understand this game. It's a fantastic and beautiful game with so much value and replayability, but it can be a little overwhelming at first. Hopefully this was of service to you. Anyone else who wants to add on to the information that was not presented here or that was inaccurate, please do so. Let's create a great record for beginners so people can get into this game and enjoy it. Thanks again, everybody. Take care.